Hello and welcome to another edition of Sun News Today. I'm Chris LeGrand reporting from Fez, Morocco. We're here in the Old Medina, one of the historic marketplaces in the city, where thousands of people gather every day. And this isn't the only gathering that's happening in northern Africa. The United Nations is holding its Youth Leadership Summit with delegates from 54 countries. It's part of an effort to mobilize the next generation of young leaders, and Sun Microsystems is playing a major role in the endeavor. And on this edition of Sun News, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest social issues facing Africa and how these young delegates are working hard to bring about change. You are looking at the faces of some of the poorest people in northern Morocco. Here in this part of the world, life is a daily struggle for many who are forced to beg for food and money just to survive. These scenes of poverty and hunger are all too common throughout parts of Africa, but the continent's next generation of leaders is pushing hard to change that. Young delegates from 54 African countries are at Al Akhawain University in Afran, Morocco, for the United Nations Pan-African Youth Leadership Summit. The event is part of a global effort to bring together the leaders of tomorrow with the goal of finding solutions to social problems like extreme poverty. The Prince of Morocco and a delegation of world leaders welcome the delegates. These young men and women are also here to shed light on some of the major problems facing their countries and to share personal stories of struggle and triumph.
My father died when I was 5 years old, and my mother died when I was 13.
19-year-old Zerihan Mamo calls himself a survivor. Orphaned at 13, he was forced into adulthood at an early age. Now this university student from Ethiopia has used his compelling life experience to establish and run a youth forum in his homeland. It's a platform where young people can address serious issues facing the country and present a plan on how to solve these problems to government leaders. By coming to the summit, Zerihan hopes to learn from other delegates and walk away with new ideas.
But when I come here, I think I'll be exposed to other ways of, solving problems, other ways of, communicating with other people. There are young people from different projects, from different part of Africa. You get great experience from them. They might get some experience from me, and I can get lots of experience from them. So this can help me when I go back home.
And back home, poverty and hunger are two of the most serious social dilemmas facing Ethiopia. But now more than ever, world leaders are committed to tackling these problems. Back in September of 2000, 191 nations got together at the UN and adopted 8 Millennium Development Goals, as well as a plan to attain them by the year 2015. Besides fighting poverty and hunger, there are other Millennium Goals. Among them, halting the spread of diseases like HIV and malaria, reducing the mortality rate in mothers and their children, improving education, and protecting the environment. Dr. Jibril Diallo is the chairman of the UN's Youth Summit Series and director of the UN New York Office of Sport for Development and Peace. He's leading the charge to attain these Millennium Development Goals and believes sports is an entry point for achieving them. Diallo says it will take leadership, discipline, and community work to make it happen.
And all of these qualities are qualities found through the practice of sport. Sport gives you dignity. When you're practicing sport, you can lose without feeling that it's the end of the world. You can win without feeling that you're the best. You have to respect the rule of the referee. And we are putting all of those good qualities of sport at the disposal of the Millennium Development Goals.
Besides sports, Diallo believes participation on many fronts is needed in order to achieve the Millennium Development Objectives. Sun Microsystems is the first corporate sponsor to team with the UN on this global initiative. Sun has constructed a website dedicated to the Summit Series, and it's also providing technology tools, equipment, and training. John Gage is a vice president and chief researcher at Sun Microsystems.
So in supporting the youth leadership summits in South America, in Asia, here in Morocco, we're attempting to build a community of sharing of projects, sharing of ideas using the internet. With Sun's attitude towards sharing, it matches perfectly with the needs of Africa, the needs of the United Nations, to allow the middle class emerging in Africa to use what we provide and build on top of it businesses, services, interconnection, the ability for someone someplace to develop something wanted by someone somewhere else.
The technology challenges in parts of Africa are huge. In the capital cities, you can access the internet mostly from cyber cafes, but in the rural areas, it's a whole different story. Marie Tamafu is a delegate from the country of Cameroon.
In some part also there is no connection at all. For that it's also difficult for us to work with them because we need to rely on letters, sending letters and waiting for about many 2-3 weeks before getting the reply. The youths, they know internet, they know what it is, but how to use the technology, that's also another problem they are facing.
People are not educated how to use computers and don't know what internet is. And we don't have too much computers, and we have only one server domain that we can use. That's all. That's all why we're not having, internet.
The idea is that in the coming 12 months, every and each youth who has been signed up to the Youth Leadership Summit Series will be connected so that we can find a way of really finding out progress that has been made, but also obstacles and how to overcome those obstacles.
The delegates look forward to the day when all of Africa will be connected. They say it will help in their efforts to reach more young people as they strive to attain the Millennium Development Goals and reach for the dawn of a new era. And that's going to do it for this edition of the program. Please join us next time for part 2 of our report from the UN's Youth Leadership Summit in Morocco. I'm Chris LeGrand, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Sun News Today.